Every so often I notice these kind of micro trends in fiction, and I think last time I talked about time travel, so, and it's not like nobody's ever written a time travel book before, because they have. It just seems like they go in cycles. So another kind of trend, or I mean, I guess it's a genre that I'm seeing coming back a lot more, is historical fiction. Now, historical fiction's never gone away, but I think that authors today are exploring different time periods that usually weren't even considered as settings or topics for fiction before. Usually it was like, and it's another Civil War novel, and you're like, okay, because we need 5,000 of those. And yeah, some of them are great, but after a while it's kind of like, can we read about something else? So I picked up 4 new or newish books today. And the first one is one that I just finished reading Saturday. And it's actually an anthology. It's called A Tyranny of Petticoats. It's edited by Jessica Spotswood, who writes both kind of paranormal romance and realism. And her new book coming out, I will talk about it when we get it because I loved it. But this is an all-female, I don't know if you can see that, author cast of awesome ladies who write about fictional girls who could have theoretically existed. So it goes from about 1700 to 1970. And some of the stories in here are just, I mean, gorgeous. Like Leslie Walton, who did The Strange and Beautiful Sorrow of Ava Lavender, which you guys all need to read, by the way, did one called El Destinos, set in the Republic of Texas, and it's gorgeous. Another one of my favorites was about these girls who are in the Yukon during the gold rush, and they own a saloon, and they have to get back at this guy who's trying to take over their saloon. So this is really great, and it's almost like an introduction to a story that could continue. So there is a sequel companion to this coming out. I forget what it's called, but I'm very excited, and I hope that some of these are revisited because it's really, really well done. This one, All American Ace, is a novel in verse by Marilyn Nelson, and it's about a boy who discovers more about who he is and his family history by researching his grandfather, who was called Ace, and who was a pilot in World War II, and not exactly what he's been told or what the family was told or something maybe they wanted to hide. But it really shows the truth about who he is. So this one's really good. Another novel in verse is this one by Meg Wiviot called Paper Hearts. This is set at Auschwitz in 1944, and it's the story of girls who sort of barter and steal in the black market inside of Auschwitz to make a birthday card with paper, hence the name. And it's something that they could die for doing, but it's just kind of how they keep their sanity and build their friendships and stay strong in this absolutely horrible situation. And like I said, this is also a novel in verse, so it goes really quickly. And I find that I really like historical fiction when it's done that way, because otherwise it can come across as a little bit didactic. So this is more emotionally driven. The last one is Of Better Blood by Susan Mocher, which is really interesting because it talks about the eugenics movement in America, which was, I mean, and still is in a certain way, which is horrible, a really big deal kind of around 1900, 1910. So the idea that there are these unfit people that, you know, we should sterilize, and not just African Americans, but Irish people or people with disabilities or whatever, like they would just sterilize you because you weren't fit to produce good Americans. And so this girl, Rowan, is from a very rich family, and her family subscribes to this theory of eugenics. And it turns out she gets polio, so she becomes unfit, and sort of how she ends up like in a sideshow and on this island where there's testing. The plot for this is a little bit uneven, but I think the idea is really strong, and it's something that you should really read just to learn more about, you know, the the ins and outs of what people actually believed back then, because they weren't all like, yay, jazz time, ragtime, happiness. Like, this is gross, and it's something that really happened. So, not this particular story, obviously. Clearly, I still haven't had enough coffee today. So, anyway, those are a few of my favorite historical fiction novels that have come out. There's a couple more, like, coming out in May that I'll probably redo. But definitely check these out if you are into historical fiction or strong female characters, especially for A Tyranny of Petticoats, because amazing. And that's it. I will see you guys next time.